There's some seats up here too as well. Students, anyone could fill in. Okay, we want to get started shortly. Okay, please take a seat. There's some room up here. I'm a stickler for keeping us on time, so please find a seat. We'll get started in a couple minutes, so please find a seat. Oh, there's still some seats over here. Okay, we're going to get started soon. Please find a seat. It's exciting. We do have some more spots up here as well. And there's some spots up here. Maybe okay. Thank you, Connie. This is my favorite job. No. Okay. Well, it's 12:03, so good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Lisa Bardale-Muscatolo, Associate Vice President and Dean for Students, and I am thrilled to welcome you here for first-year Convocation and to the Pleasantville campus and Goldstein Fitness Center and Recreation Center. Today we come together for Convocation. Convocation is an occasion to bring a group of people together for a special occasion. And the special occasion today is to welcome our class of 2020. With me to welcome you as we have our faculty and staff and also some of our student leaders to welcome you here to Pace University in the Pleasantville campus. Today, the Convocation will help set the academic tone for your student experience for the next 4 years. Before I introduce the platform party, I do want to remind you to please put your cell phone on silent. I'm okay if you want to take pictures, of course, of me and you want to tweet them at Dean Lisa Pace. I'm fine with that. But please be respectful to others that are near you and to have your cell phone off. Also, I do have to tell you we're pretty crowded in here, but I want to make sure you know where the fire exits are, so if you need to leave in case we have to evacuate. And lastly, is we do have interpreters here for sign language for those that possibly may need it. So, let's get started. Let me introduce the platform party to you today. We have Dr. Adelia Williams, Associate Provost in Academic Affairs and our Associate Vice President for our campus. We have Dr. Hillary J. Nepper, Associate Provost and Chair for the Department of Public Administration for Dyson College of Arts and Sciences. And we also have Lizzie Contreras-Giron, our student speaker for today. And last but not least, our Student Government President, Mitch Farrell. We'll get started now with Alyssa Chambers coming to the podium on stage. Alyssa is a first-year student with us. She's in the Lubin School of Business, and she's going to start us off by singing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets recollect the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star jingle banner, yeah, wave. Oh, the lands of the free and the home of the brave.
Good afternoon and greetings, Pace University class of 2020 to the 2016 Convocation. It is my great pleasure to welcome you today to our newly completed Pleasantville campus. You are the first cohort of students to enjoy all 4 years on our transformed campus. You will have the privilege and pleasure of studying in our welcoming Mortola Library, attending class in active learning classrooms, relaxing and socializing in the modern Kessel Student Center, and roaming and enjoying the gorgeous green open space. Those of you who are residential students are living in brand new residence halls where each of you is participating in a FIG, first year interest group. Remember that whatever your FIG, whether you are living on campus or are commuting, you are welcome to participate in all FIG activities. Be sure to reach out to the faculty in the residence halls, Dr. Robert Mundy in Alumni Hall and Dr. Michael Finewood in Elm Hall. They are there for you. We want you to share our pride in our campus, the many cutting-edge academic programs in each of our schools and colleges, our athletic team successes, and our vibrant community. Come out and show your Pace pride at games right here in this gym, at the new Ianello Fieldhouse and Finnerty Field, and at homecoming weekends, starting on Thursday, October 6th, with the ribbon cutting for the new Elm Hall residents. Be sure to check out the Center for Community Action and Research, known as CCAR. Register to vote, eat free pizza, and learn about CCAR's many volunteer opportunities, programs, and events. You can also reach Pace's single Pokestop at the center in Choate House, where all are welcome during Thursday Common Hour. Make sure to check your Pace email daily so that you don't miss information about these great events, week of welcome activities, important reminders, and more. Each of you is participating in a section of UNV 101, Introduction to University Life. I want to give a special shout out to my UNV 101 students. Where are you? Your UNV 101 class will introduce you to our services and resources and help you transition successfully from high school to college. You will receive individual guidance and assistance from your UNV 101 professor and peer leader and learn important skills and effective study techniques that promote academic success. Remember that your academic success throughout your college career depends on your personal health and well-being. The PACE community strongly encourages you to take care of yourself throughout the semester. There are a number of support services on campus that stand ready to assist you. Know that we are all here to see you succeed, and everyone on campus is committed to helping you finish in 4. You will hear shortly from Dr. Hillary Nepper, who will share her thoughts on this year's theme, Get Grit, Passion, Perseverance, Motivation. She will offer you excellent guidance based on her many years of experience as a PACE professor on the value of persistence, determination, and resilience. I wish each of you a wonderful start to the semester and a positive year of academic and personal growth. Welcome to PACE.
Thank you, Adelia, for the warm welcome. I'm now going to introduce Lizzie Contreras-Giron. Lizzie's a second-year student with us in the Dyson College of Arts and Sciences and is a criminal justice major. Liz D is from Mount Kisco, New York. This summer, Liz D, you might have recognized her. She served as an O-team leader for orientation, and Liz D is also part of our Setters Leadership Program. I look forward to hearing what Liz D wants to share with all of the first-year students. Liz D?
Good afternoon, incoming first-year class, deans, faculty, administrators, staff, and everyone else here today. It is not easy to decide what direction to take in a speech like this. After all, you want to say something meaningful, inspirational, and memorable. Then I noticed that the Pace University homepage always posts motivational quotes on Mondays, and this one caught my attention. "Don't wait. The time will never be just right" by Napoleon Hill. I knew this is exactly what I wanted to talk about. It is a lot like the grit we are talking about today. The values my parents instilled in me as a first-generation student working towards achieving the American dream. It is incredible to believe that a year ago, I was sitting right there where you are. It struck me how fast time flies by, and then I thought too, how, while we cannot control time, we can control the decisions we make as to what we want to devote our time to. We cannot simply continue thinking in terms of, I am not ready or next time, because like the quote says, the time will never be just right. Incoming first-year class, Pace University has so much to offer you. It is so rich in diversity, opportunity, activities, and organizations, and it's all right in front of you. Really, you can walk from Alumni Hall straight across to Kessel, and there is something going on all the time. I'm a commuter student, but the organizations and activities keep me vitally connected to the Pace community and allow me to feel like I actually live here. In fact, all my friends and classmates are always saying to me, "Sometimes I forget you don't live here because you're always here." Coming into Pace, I promised myself I would not let my status as a commuter restrict me from finding my passions and devoting myself to fulfilling them. I am currently the president of Lambda Sigma Honor Society, treasurer of Criminal Justice Society, and in Tier 2 of our Setters Leadership Program, while enrolled here at Pace full-time and working at 2 part-time jobs. It is not easy, but it's worthwhile. I am trying to make the most out of my undergraduate studies and encourage you all to do the same. So, I want you to leave here today making that promise to yourself. Attend as many events as you can. Find out what sparks that fire within you. Engage yourself. Don't waste time. Don't miss out on a single opportunity. And don't forget, time flies by and we only regret what we don't do. I now eagerly look forward to my next 3 years because there's so much to do and so little time. So remember, don't wait. Thank you. It is with pleasure that I get to introduce our keynote speaker. Dr. Hillary J. Knepper is currently an associate professor and chair of the Department of Public Administration. While at Hunter College and almost being barred as she hadn't declared a major, Dr. Knepper earned her bachelor degree from Hunter College. After working for over 20 years and becoming a mother, Dr. Knepper, whose theory is, we can do better, realized it was time for a change. She went on to earn her doctorate in public affairs from the University of Central Florida, and Pace University is lucky to have her. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Hillary Knepper.
How's everybody doing? I think good. Good? Everyone's still having a good time? You ready to get on to lunch? You've got to make it through my speech first, and just a little bit more. And Litzy, thank you so much for that introduction. And what she said to you, I'm going to echo a great deal of. And I think that one of the things that's so exciting about Convocation is it never gets old. It is such an exciting time. We all come together. We're starting to make new friends. We have a new school year. And for me, I have to tell you, even after all these years in school, I have not gotten over that excitement. I get a new book bag. It smells good. I'm excited about my new books. I'm excited about the office supplies. And I swear that this year, I am not going to put my projects off till the last minute to get them done. And unfortunately for me, there are certain habits that are apparently very, very challenging to me and to break. So I will tell you that I do depend upon deadlines. I depend upon crushing deadlines to get things done. So for those of you who also are in my backyard with that, my sympathies to you. So I think it's why I've ended up changing careers. I think it's also ended up why I've had some different crazy busy career paths on my journey to PACE. But I want to tell you that I'm not a traditional lecturer. So forewarning for any of you who end up in any of my classes, I want to hear from you. And it's an easy thing in my field. I teach government, I teach health policy, and that's a place where opinions matter. The facts matter as well, but the foundation of our democracy is built upon the values that we hold close. It affects the decisions and the actions that we take for our entire lives. So when you're in my class, I want to hear from you. I want to know about you, and I want you to share with me what's going on and why it's important. It makes for a much more vibrant and interesting experience. So for the purposes of my talk, I would like you to consider that this is our classroom, and I'm going to ask you to raise your hands for a few things at times. So we're going to start off right now with the first one. How many of you are from the tri-state area? Can you raise your hands? All right, there's a lot of you. Put your hands down. How many of you are not from the tri-state area? You're going to have to look out for each other. Okay. How many of you can speak a language other than English? Hey, way to go. How many of you wished you could speak another language fluently? I'm with you on that one. Have you been excited about the presidential election? No? Hands up, hands up. Some of us are junkies. We love that. How about the Olympics and the Paralympics? Any interest in watching the sports? That's great. How many of you feel that you've already made a connection with a faculty member or a staff member here at PACE? Somebody that you think you can go to if you need something from them. That's it? That's it? All right, hands up? Well, great. We're going to get the rest of you to have your hands up by the end of today, so make sure you're connecting with everyone and enjoying yourself afterwards. But what's really cool about Convocation is we're bringing together all of these people who are embarking on a journey, and it's this wonderful journey of growth and experience and making mistakes and discovery and challenge. There's going to be lots of challenge. And it's just as it's supposed to be. But as you look around the room and you look at the faculty and staff and you look at all of us, know that we're here on this journey with you. And we're here to make it work and to make things as great as they can possibly be for you while you pursue your undergraduate education here. So obviously, after getting a bachelor's, a master's, and a doctorate, I've spent a gazillion years in school. So I've got a few pointers that I actually want to share with you. And there are 3 things that I'm going to ask you to leave with. And I'm not great at keeping secrets, so I'm actually going to share them with you. And I think they're ready to go. So I'm going to give them to you up front. For those of you in University 101, this is probably going to make up about 50% of your grade. So pay really, really close attention. These are spark notes for my talk. All right? So let's see. Did it come up? The first is embrace ambiguity and change. Sometimes you're not going to have all of the answers. That's where life's going to get interesting for you. A class you're closed out of is not the end of the world, and sometimes it may open up an idea to you that you had never, ever thought about. My husband is a great example. He wandered into the wrong classroom on the first day of class, sat down, sat through the lecture, really liked it, went back the next day, and ended up transferring into that class and changing his major, all because he mistakenly went to the wrong classroom. So if you got to know him, he continues to do things like that. But he's had a great life doing it. Second, I want you, while you're here at PACE, to challenge yourself. And just as Litzy was saying, you can reach out and challenge yourself. For some of you, it may be speaking in public. which can be a daunting task. For others, this may be the first time that you're confronted with something that really is challenging for you, that you can't do easily. Well, welcome to the big leagues, because it happens to all of us. And it's a good thing that happens. This is normal, because no matter where you go in life, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, somebody is somewhere going to throw something at you that completely stumps you or unnerves you. So it's a great opportunity for you, because that's when the fun begins. How do you know that you're really learning something? When you have to work really, really hard for it. So don't be turned off by the challenge. Be excited about it. And 3, be global citizens. I think this is a really important message for all of you. How you change the world is up to you, but change it is exactly what you're going to do. It's a big planet, but it's a small world. And we've got a lot of things for people to work on. We've got climate change. We've got terrorism. We've got scary mobile germs. We've got a refugee crisis. We've got lots of conflict. We have music to be written. We have plays to be performed. We have art to be created and lives to be saved. There are so many different things for you to do. In many ways, our world is now boundaryless. On my social media, not only do I follow international news and international non-governmental organizations, but I follow international artists. So from half a world away, I can see really cool, creative work from somebody who's in Tunisia and posting them on Instagram. So it's boundaryless, just remember that. Okay, so I was born in Florida. I was born in Orlando, Florida. And I moved to New York State after my parents divorced. We moved to Buffalo, New York. Anybody from out in western New York State? Is that the greatest? Lots of snow. It's a wonderful place to be as a kid, I will tell you. Then when I was 11, we moved back and we moved into New York City. And that was also a great experience, and it really taught me a great deal, because at the age of 11, my world was very small, and I didn't really think about things much beyond my own family and my neighborhood. And I moved into this great melting pot in Queens. And my first day of 7th grade, I came home, and I had all these questions for my mom. The first question was, why was I the only kid in my class whose grandparents were born in the United States? And then my other question was, why do we speak English at home? Because hardly anyone I know in class speaks English at home. So what's wrong with us that we speak one language? Which my mom found actually rather entertaining, because that's the only language she spoke. But here I was, this tall, skinny redhead, thrown into this real melting pot of a neighborhood in New York City. And it really made me realize the world is not what I had thought it was. So I grew up largely in the New York entertainment industry. My parents were actors and managers, and yes, I have more than 2. I had a lot of parents. So in many ways, I have not lacked for much in that way. But one of the cool things about growing up with actors is they drag you to all of their productions, and they get their kids involved. So from an early age, I was out on stage, and I was performing with my dad, and it was great. We had all this time together, except I didn't like it. I did not like being on stage. I did not like having my picture taken. I did not like being in front of the camera. Some of these things have stayed true to today. I still feel that way in a lot of ways. But I learned a lot because I put myself out there and I participated. I learned I did not want to be an actor. I knew unequivocally that was not for me. So I figured out I had to do something different from my parents. And for me, that meant going to college. My parents had not done that. So if I was going to go to college, I had to figure out how I was going to pay for college. And I lived in New York City, which was really expensive. And so my priorities were rent, food, and then school. And literally in that order, because that's what you have to worry about is where you're going to live. And then you can worry about school down the line. But after all, I went to Hunter College, which was great. It was a school that you could commute to. It was great for people from New York. It was real easy for me. And after that first year, after I graduated from high school, working in these really crummy jobs, I decided I'm going to commit to this education thing because there's got to be a better way of earning a living. And as an undergraduate, I wandered aimlessly. As you heard in my intro, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to take. And I didn't get a lot of advice. I didn't get a lot of connections. So I would stand in these long, meandering lines, literally, like Disney, stand in these lines, watching the whiteboard erase classes that were now no longer available to me. So my great intentions every semester would end with whatever happened to be available by the time I got to the registration desk, which meant I took some really interesting classes. There was the African dance class that I took, and I got an A in that, probably because I grew up dancing to Caribbean and Latin music in Queens. There was the U.S. Defense Policy class that I took, which I failed because I just stopped going and then neglected to actually drop the class. And so I took all of these different classes, and at different times I wanted to be an anthropologist, I wanted to be a marine biologist, I wanted to be a social worker, I wanted to be an urban planner, I wanted to be a geologist. Everything sounded interesting to me, which was a bit of a problem. And so as you learned, my junior year came along and I was not allowed to register for classes. I was forced to actually commit. So I committed to urban affairs and planning. And I've spent the last 20 years prior to coming to PACE doing that. I worked in public service for a very long time. But it was at Hunter College where I met this amazing woman who actually helped forge my direction and where I decided to go. And that was for my previous career. I met this really amazing woman in my history class. It was a history of modern Europe. And here was a woman, she was a little old lady with an accent, and she had decided to go back to school after she had worked, after she had raised her kids, she had retired, and she decided to do something for herself. And for her, that meant getting her undergraduate degree. But it turns out this woman with this wonderful, wonderful look on life was a Holocaust survivor. And she had this tattoo on her arm. And she shared all of her stories with us that made the books come alive. What you're reading about, what you're seeing in pictures, really came alive. And for the first time, I really thought about what was going on. And I started to look around. And I realized that we were protesting. We were protesting apartheid in South Africa. We were marching for women's rights in Washington. We blockaded 68th and Lexington one day with the author Alice Walker because we were protesting CUNY tuition increases. The homeless population in New York was exploding. Everywhere I looked, there was somebody or some cause that was demanding my attention and really, really needing me to get involved and to get engaged. But as a student who was working her way through her undergraduate degree, my time was limited. And I tried to figure out where I best fit. Where could I make the difference? What was my voice going to matter in all of these different issues and needs that were going on? And it became really important because, let's be honest, so much of what you're going to learn here at PACE about yourself and about the world around you is going to come outside of your classroom. When you hear your fellow students who are just a little bit ahead of you telling you to get involved, they're absolutely right. It's so important for you to get involved. Now, I know that you've all been reading that Common Reader, This I Believe. Everybody reading it? At least glancing at it? Motivational stories? They're short. They're really nice. You can just read them very quickly. Anyway, one of the ones that I really liked was by Jody Williams, and she's a founding coordinator of the international campaign to ban landmines, something you don't think we should still be needing, but unfortunately we do. But she wrote in her essay that her power comes from the people that she works with, people from all over the world, and that truth lies in action. And that is really a driving force. And I think these are powerful words, that our power comes collectively in how we work together. So I want you to keep that in mind. And the author Isabel Allende echoed some of these sentiments in her essay about giving. And what she said was that the value of your experience and your knowledge and your talents lies in sharing them with others, in sharing these experiences with the world. So I want to ask all of you how you're planning on sharing some of your experiences, because you've come to PACE with your own unique outlooks, with your own unique experiences, and we've got a place to put them to work. So by a show of hands, how many of you are planning to join a club while you're here? All right, all right. How many of you are going to play sports? We've got our athletes. How many of you plan to volunteer and do some volunteer work while you're here? Join a fraternity or a sorority? Good, good. How many of you plan to connect via social media? Yeah? That's not dead, social media? We're still enjoying that? All right. How many of you get most of your news through your social media? A lot of us, right? Okay. Did you see how many hands went up in some form or another? Everyone's going to be sharing and giving. And we're hopefully going to be bringing a lot of power to this freshman class and to the world around you with what you're working on. So those of you who didn't necessarily raise your hands, I want to make sure you get involved. Find something that's interesting to you, and don't worry if you change your mind and you have to do something different the next year. As you begin your educational path and your career in general here at PACE, recognize that your undergraduate degree is just the beginning. Ask yourself, what's your motivation? And be honest with yourself. And your motivations may change from year to year and from different experiences. A lucky few of us know what we want to do from, say, kindergarten on. So by a show of hands, how many of you have known exactly what you were going to do since kindergarten, never deviating from that? Okay, you're clearly not in the majority, but we admire you greatly. How many of you are starting to get a feel for where you think you're going to go? You're starting to feel it out? It's feeling pretty good? Okay, okay. Now, here's the category that I fit in. Who has really no clue at this point where you see yourself professionally? No clue at all. Okay, so those of you who are honest enough, now I have some news for you. We're going to cross into some of these different categories. I know people who knew exactly what they wanted to do from the time they could go to preschool, and they changed their minds when they were undergraduate students. I've certainly changed my mind. I changed careers 6 years ago, and we'll talk about that. Now, what I thought was interesting was that as somebody who was blocked from choosing, from registering for school because I was afraid to choose a major, I ended up very happily working in the public sector for 20 years. So I've got a lot of experience, but I did sort of stumble into that. And I saw myself mirrored in the essay that Ted Gupp wrote. And he wrote about his wobblies. Did you guys read about the wobblies yet? I love the wobblies. Here's a guy who admits to blowing his first job interview because he was undecided. He was afraid to take a firm position. He really wasn't sure of who he was or where he was going. And he walked away from this failed interview thinking that he really had made a big mistake. Except afterwards he came to realize that those same wobblies made him a very open person. It made him very flexible and interested in finding out what was going on around him. And I will tell you that I wobbled. After 20 years working in public service, I wobbled. So I went back to school for another 8 years to get my master's and my PhD. And balancing work and family and school was definitely challenging, to say the least. And it took a lot of determination. It took a lot of motivation. But it wasn't just on me. It was on my family. It was on my friends. It was on the people that I was working with. So all of us came together to make sure that I got to where I needed to be. And I felt really good about that because now I'm here at PACE, my new job and my new passion. So I have to say, I've been really, really enjoying the essays. And what I like about these motivational stories is that there's got to be something that touches each one of you. We have to find something that you can relate to. For me, one of the ones that really connected with me was Helen Keller. How many of you read about Helen Keller in elementary school? I did, and that stuck with me for the rest of my life. And it was amazing. Here is this woman who was blind and deaf, and yet she went on to get an Ivy League education. She went on to become a world-renowned activist and an advocate for people with disabilities. She went on to be an author, and her voice has been heard far past when she died. And she didn't do it alone. She did it because she had a lot of friends and a lot of support, and that's what made the difference for her. But she also talked about what education meant for her. And in the words of Helen Keller, she said that she grew out of the darkness of ignorance and hate and into the light of a brighter day. Out of the darkness of ignorance and hate and into the light of a brighter day. That's the power of education, and that's the power of people working with you to help make things happen. Education was her path. But coming out of the darkness also resonated with the essay by Jackie Robinson. Everybody knows who Jackie Robinson was. He's really famous here in the US. He desegregated professional sports, a really important man. And in his essay, he talks about the fact that we have to put aside the dogmas of the past to discover the truth of today and to find greatness of tomorrow. So putting aside the dogmas of the past to discover the truth of today and finding the greatness of tomorrow. That's something he didn't just believe, he actually lived it. And that was not an easy journey for him. And so I think the timing for these motivational stories is really important. You're starting off your freshman year. We're all starting off a new cohort of students that we're so excited to be working with. And what's more motivational? We do have a presidential election, so no matter where you stand, that's a bit exciting. We've also had the Olympics and the Paralympics. And what's more interesting and motivational than people who have spent their lives in public service or who have spent their lives pushing the limits of the human body? These stories inspire us to achieve and to grow and to reach outside of our comfort zone. So this, I believe, you are going to change the world. Large or small, your impact matters. Now, back to my first takeaway. Embrace ambiguity and change. Admit it. We all know we're right. Who isn't perfectly confident that their presidential candidate is the right choice? Well, except when I'm not. I may not always be right. I like to think I am, but sometimes I have to admit I'm not. So accept your mistakes and own them. They've helped shape you into who you are today. They've helped with years and years of training. And we look at, hold on, I'm going to go back. I think I overshot. I want you to take a look at this. Years and years of training have led people to the Olympics, right? They've spent their entire lives. Their families have sacrificed. Everything they've done is to bring them to this critical moment. Yet, look at the people who are coming in last. What do you call them? They're still faster than pretty much everyone else on the planet, right? Except maybe the last few who were running just a little bit faster. All of these people were blisteringly fast. And in the blink of an eye, everything changed because now they didn't win. So they're now sitting there thinking, what am I doing next? What's my next place? What's my next goal? These are people who have been able to set these goals and work really hard to achieve them. And then suddenly, they got to start over. How about the Olympic team that was comprised totally of refugee athletes? Did you guys watch them? If it was one single refugee athlete, it might have been a different story. But putting together this entire team meant that suddenly, at the forefront of all of our awareness was the worldwide refugee crisis. This is a really, really important message. But the other underlying message here was the message about how working together makes the difference. Because no athlete, refugee or not, is ever going to get where they are without a lot of people working hard to make it happen. So when we look at the refugee athletes, people who are still performing under intense pressure, people whose lives have turned completely upside down, and yet there they are raising awareness, I hope you find it as motivational as I do. I really was moved by the hard work that I saw. And so for all of us who may end up changing our majors against the advice of your advisors and your family, guess what? It's okay, and it happens. You've got to find your path, the right one that's going to work for you. But don't tell Provost Sukatme. You might not finish in 4. I did not finish in 4. I just want to make sure that it is not the end of the world. So anyway, here we've got all of these athletes pulling together, and it brings me a bit of advice that I want to share with you. And that is, ask for help. Sometimes you're going to need it. You're going to need to reach out, you're going to need to ask for help, you're going to need to find someone who can help, and you've got to be brave enough to do it. It's a sign of strength to say, I could use some help on this. I can't quite figure it out. And it doesn't matter what it is. Make sure you develop this skill. Be brave. A willingness to ask for help is going to take you far. So now, for my second little takeaway that I want for you, is I want you to challenge yourself. I'm terrible at this. Do you guys recognize everybody up here? We want you to become strategic thinkers. We want you to become strategic doers. We want you to really strategically read and look around and absorb what's going on around you. So, who are these people? I took some pictures of kids that are pretty famous today. Everybody recognize the president? Can you see him? Two of our presidential candidates? You see them? How about, I've got Aung San Suu Kyi, the political activist who was under house arrest for many years in our country, and then Malala Yousafzai. Everybody knows Malala. You guys are the same generation. And then the one on the far right, I stuck him in there because I can't leave out the actors of the world. That's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Isn't he cute? But my point is, you can't tell where you're going to be when you're a kid. And what does finding your passion look like? When they started out, they didn't have any idea. I don't know what your passion looks like. You're going to have to find that. I had one passion that I followed for 20 years, and then suddenly it was no longer my passion. And I had to do something different. So things happen, things change, and it's really important to challenge yourself. When you are dealing with any failures, when we're dealing with any indecision, keep going. Build those skills so that you can change course. As your growing self-awareness emerges and starts to really give you some messages, you want to make sure that you are listening to your voice and you're taking those chances. Because we need you out in the world. We need you to be productive. Who you are today is in no small part the result of all of your childhood experiences that have brought you here. But who you're going to be tomorrow, well, that's completely up to you. So you want to make the most of all of your experiences here. So we're all here to make this the greatest experience for you possible. You see the faculty, you see our administrators, you see our staff. We're all passionate, we all care. We want you to challenge yourself. We want you to embrace change because things change. Friends come and go, right? Professors are inspiring and motivational, except when they're not. Clubs may be really welcoming and open and fun, and other times they may be really off-putting, and it might not be for you. Nothing is exactly the same for everybody, so it's important to carve your own path. And in the words arguably attributed to Oscar Wilde, be yourself, because everybody else is already taken. I like that one. Listen to your inner voice. It's going to guide you. It might mislead you at times, but that's okay, because making mistakes is an important part of growing. But listen to that inner voice. Plan on changing the world. For some of you, it might be finding the cure for climate change. For somebody else, it may be being the best dad in the neighborhood who coaches kids' sports and who stays up late listening to his daughter's dating woes and who can feed an army of drop-ins at a moment's notice. Whatever is your path, tackle it with an open mind. Take those detours and explore the side paths. You never know what's waiting on the other side. So, my final takeaway. Be a global citizen. The world is far too small these days to not be one. What is happening right now around the world? It's transparent. Because of live streaming and social media, there are very few dark corners that we cannot peer into. But with that awareness comes responsibility. And as Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases, tells us in his essay, that we all have a personal responsibility to make a positive impact on society. So what does it mean to be a global citizen in the 21st century? Does it mean accepting responsibility for our impact on others? Does it mean being aware and doing something about socioeconomic disparities or environmental injustices? For some of you, it may mean joining the Peace Corps. For somebody else, it might mean trying to change corporate social responsibility norms. For us all to work together, I want you to think globally, but I want you to act uniquely. I want you to find where you fit best and to make it work. So get engaged. Recognize your circle of influence and your circles of interest, which might change. Don't forget. Your recognition of what you want to do with this life and how it will affect others will guide your decisions here at PACE and beyond. This is my circle of influence, and it's fun to have this moment to talk up here because you get to see my personal bias. But find where you fit. Remember that what drives you this year may change next year. As global citizens, as 21st century millennials, I challenge you. And I'm going to paraphrase John Wesley. He was a 19th century religious thinker and a founder of Methodism. But what he said was very powerful, and it's in some essays that you read as well. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, for as many people as you can, for as long as you can. Here at PACE, Opportunitas doesn't just relate to you as an individual, but really to the collective impact you're going to have on the world around you. So we have high hopes for all of you. Get involved. Embrace ambiguity and change. Challenge yourselves. Be global citizens. We're here to get you started. So welcome to PACE. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Knepper, for the wonderful speech. On behalf of the student body, I would love to present you with a token of our appreciation. I have a gift for you.
Thank you.
A round of applause. I would also like to congratulate all the first-year students in the room. It's an amazing and great accomplishment that you've all decided to pursue a college education and be part of a community so much bigger than yourselves. Locally, you've just joined our PACE Pleasantville community. Globally, you guys have joined the class of 2020. Congratulations. As you may have heard in the beginning, I am your student government president. My name is Mitchell Farrell. And I stress the "your" in this because, as I said, this campus is now yours. Each year, a population of our students changes, and this campus changes with it. The Student Government Association, or at the Student Government Association, it is our mission to support and help our students and foster the changes that make it necessary for our campus to represent and reflect the values of all our students. I urge you to all come visit us at our office in Kessel. It's on the second floor. It's the giant fishbowl. You can't miss it. There's nowhere to hide. Or at our meetings on Fridays in the room behind it called the Kessel Multipurpose Room from 12 to 3. And come talk to us about how you're feeling, how the campus climate is. We really want to hear from you. I'm also excited to announce that we will be doing a student outreach program. So every Friday, I'll have free coffee and tea. And I look forward to meeting all of you and just discussing whatever you would like. I really want to hear about how you guys want to get involved, any ideas you have at the school. And so do my e-board members. They're right up there if you guys want to take a look. I'd like to thank Dean Lisa for allowing me and squeezing me into this busy convocation ceremony. And I promise I'll keep this last part short because I know we all have the campus involvement fair to get to. But before I sit down, I'd like to leave you with some food for thought about living your experience here at PACE. When I was originally writing my first draft of the speech, I was going to talk about finding your passion, which I'm sure you've all heard so much about over the course of your lives. But after my research, it took me a different direction than I expected. Actually, quite the opposite. I don't have much time up here to explain how it relates to my experiences and my stories, and this is why I hope you guys come visit me in my office, because I'd love to share it with you. But I urge you to take these 5 points I've summarized my speech into, which is now called Don't Follow Your Passion, and keep them in the back of your mind during your first year. And hopefully after your 4 years, you'll remember this speech, and you can reflect. and I guarantee you that you'll find that all of them have come true. First point. You don't create your life first and then live it. Limiting yourself to a single experience, a single idea, a single activity is one of the worst things you can do to yourself. Embrace new opportunities for change in your life. You create your life by living it. Second point. Passion fueled by success is more powerful and meaningful than success fueled by passion. The most meaningful relationships are the ones that can continuously surprise you. Fourth point. Usefulness and generosity are two of the biggest components to success. Look to solve the issues that face your community and your generation. Your passion lies where your energy and efforts meet other people's needs. And lastly, don't follow your passion, let your passion follow you. Thank you, all of you, and I look forward to meeting you at the involvement fair. Dean Lisa.
Okay, class of 2020. You guys were great. Round of applause for all of you. Just a couple of items. I'm going to bring Alyssa Chambers to come up and sing the alma mater. This will be your first time. We'll all sing it together. So look, bring this. Make sure you have this out. On the back is the words. Alyssa, lead us in the alma mater. Alyssa, you want me to stand next to you? I will. I'll stand next to you. Ready?
Okay. To start? Okay. Alma mater, hearts and voices, sing to thee our everlasting praise. Each and every heart rejoices at the thought of happy days. Pace, oh pace, we'll never forget you, nor the friends we hold so dear. Memories will linger ever and will brighten coming years. Alma mater, stand forever. Love is strong as we go marching by. So to thee we raise our voices with your standard held on high. Peace, oh peace, will ever follow. With thy beacon show the way. True to thee will be forever as we labor day by day.
Thank you, Alyssa. Normally we do stand, that's my fault, but next time we'll make sure we'll do it right, so then our voices could be heard better when we're standing. A couple other items. You heard from the wonderful platform party, Hillary, Dr. Nepper. You have heard from Dr. Williams. You heard from Mitch. You heard from Liz D., our student speaker, about generosity. And it could start this weekend. We have Dr. Ellen Mandel here with the Coleman Walk. You can volunteer to help on Saturday. So if you have any questions about that, please go to OrgSync to learn more about the Coleman Walk or student development and campus activities. We will now have our WOW leaders help direct you to lunch. You'll be going to lunch with your school. If you see right up here, all the WOW leaders are up here. Let me tell you where you have to go. You can also look in your program. The College of Health Professions will go to Wilcox Hall, the multi-purpose room. Dyson College of Arts and Sciences, Goldstein Gym will stay here. Lubin School of Business, Kessel Student Center. School of Education will be up in the VIP room. And Seidenberg will be in Kessel Student Center multi-purpose room. And College of Health Professions will be in Wilcox Hall. I did say that. Thank you all and have a good one.